change, talking all that's real. With Francis Pierre at the wheel. Politics to faith, the latest trend. We talk it out from end to end. When the clock hits 12.
Welcome, brothers, welcome, sisters, welcome to our program On Target. As soon as we start this program, you're free to pick up the telephone and give us a call. We never have a subject matter. It's always issues trending, regional, international, or local. But you could introduce your own topic. You could interrupt us anytime. We all believe that we must respect one another and understand we have different views. We encourage people to speak the truth because we have too much of programs that is propagating falsehood. Now, as we on Real FM 91.9, 91.5, We Noise FM 94.9, and we encourage you to share our program, subscribe to Real FM, and like our program. That is a good you do for local content to grow. I think the Caribbean heads of government is meeting. I'm somewhat disappointed in CARICOM leaders. Too much of our CARICOM leaders is propagating ideology and not taking into consideration the economic realities. And they become very confrontational with the biggest economic market, the United States of America and Europe. Whether you like it or not, you live in the Caribbean. That is a hemisphere dominated by American power. Russia want to enter, China want to enter. Cuba has been a taunt in the American flesh for over 65 years. It is a satellite propagating communism, Marxist-Leninism. It has spread to Venezuela. Once it was in Grenada. Now we have a more hawkish president in the United States of America. And he's more confrontational. We in the Caribbean, particularly in Grenada, ought to know that if we want to be hardline communists and Marxist-Leninists, we are getting more in confrontation with the United States of America. It makes no sense. Beating your chest for America, and when America retaliates, you're crying foul. I have not heard not one CARICOM leader express solidarity with the political prisoners in Cuba. Cuba have a lot of political prisoners. The media is not free. If you open your mouth against the system, there is a good chance they lock you up. Not one CARICOM leader over the years have expressed solidarity with the political prisoners. We know what it is to have political prisoners in Grenada. Between 1979 and 1983, about 5,000 Grenadians went to jail. Maurice Bishop signed the order for 3,113. So we know what it is. We know what it is to have your parents in jail, your brothers and sisters in jail, mother and father in jail, and children scatter. All because They accuse you for wanting to turn back the revo. That was a serious crime long ago. Come on! You want to turn back the revolution. Come on! That was enough to get you in jail. One individual went to jail because he objected a PRA playing with his tennis racket. Jail taking. He objected that a PRA use his table tennis racket to play. And he objected that caused him to go to jail. One woman from the Holy Comforter went to prison because two other individuals wanted to buy something from the shop. Some issue comes about the weight. And they took objection, so they went to the PRA camp and she went in jail. So Grenada know what it is to live in a country where the Prime Minister controls the judiciary. There is no media and over 3,000 people in jail because they dare challenge the system. I call on CARICOM leaders, stop speaking with forked tongues. You like to blame Donald Trump and the Americans. Call on Cuba to release the political prisoners and free up the media, and then lobby the United States to ease up on the embargo. Cuba and the United States is technically at war. And when you're at war, you can't expect the U.S. to fight with their hands behind their back. And it is sad and unfortunate, because I believe communism is a failure. It has failed in China. China has modified and have state-sponsored capitalism. It has changed in Russia. Russia has modified. They have a dictatorship with state-sponsored capitalism. And Cuba is being used as a satellite. Cuba and Venezuela. United States went inside Venezuela and picked up Maduro. I don't know if that is right or if it's wrong. But they take him. And about 30-something people died. But the Venezuelans not bothering because almost all the security of Maduro was Cubans. So they lost their life. Venezuelans don't care. When you have a leader in a country and he don't trust his people, so you have to be guarded by foreigners, you know something is wrong. So we in the Caribbean must challenge our leaders to stop speaking with forked tongues. They enjoy democracy. They enjoy freedom of the press. They enjoy individual freedom. And they nothing Cuba. They're like a parasite on Cuba. The only reason why they're speaking from Cuba, because they was benefiting from Cuba. United States accused Cuba of using the medical health system as a slave project. They send out medical doctors and medical personnel, and the government pay the personnel some money, and they pay the rest to the state. So you can call any issue. Caribbean heads a government meeting. I don't know what they're meeting about, but at some stage, we expect Rubio, the American General Secretary of State, Secretary of State, to join that meeting. We call on CARICOM leaders to negotiate with America. Instead of that, they beat in the chest. We have an issue going on in Iran. I have not heard one CARICOM leader, including Mia Mottley, condemn the slaughtering of Iranians by the Iranian government. They were so quick to condemn Israel, but now they shut them out about Iran. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Good day, Mr. Pierre, and your
Yes,
audience.
yes, my brother.
I'm not even home, but I say, let me say something quickly.
That is important. The technology provides us the opportunity.
I don't know if you heard the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago make she address last night.
No, I didn't hear that.
Well, she said that some of the CARICOM leaders vexed with her, but she said she cannot don't praise Donald Trump and Rubio for the move they make, because right now she crime rate in Trinidad ceased by 42%. Yeah, she said she thanks Donald Trump, so she don't care which Caribbean leader vexed her. She also said Caribbean countries, CARICOM, should not take part in any election in the other countries. Like she says, some of our country leaving our countries and going and ask in a general election to support. They should be aware of, they should be out of that. And she condemned any country who send persons in the next country to campaign. She said this is totally wrong. She also said she don't hear most of the CARICOM country leaders saying anything about the doctors in Cuba. So she made a very long speech, and she congratulated the United States quite a lot. And she still remains a solid member of CARICOM, she said, in spite of most of them have certain things against her. I listen carefully. So, Mr. Pierre, again I say, we in Grenadians must take note, because I was told that we have members of parliament went in other countries seeking for vote for who is their friend there, which is totally wrong. And in closing, I would like to remind all residents of Wharf, St. John, and Concord and the surrounding areas to come out in the large numbers to hear some dynamic speakers of the new National Party, which will presenting a very good package to the people of Grenada, an alternative package, a rescue mission package. So everyone is welcome, because we know the new National Party is the alternative and is the party what is going to rescue Grenada, as it always does. All the old works always fall on this party, but because of good leadership, they never duck, they never run from that responsibility.
Thank you, caller.
I rest my case.
Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, Uncle Pierre.
Yeah.
Good day to you and the listeners of Real FM.
Yeah.
What a wonderful day so far. Well, I would say issues after issues so much, but I was just been looking. So in recent of times, a lot of us was aggrieved and not happy with the way and the manner in which the U.S. and so would have use, whether it's missile or whatever it is, the kinetic strikes on the boats and so on. So I would say some of us here, with the as they consider them, narco terrorists and so. And in most recent, there's a shift in the area, as you realize, and that would have been between St. Vincent and St. Lucian area. And after that, in a couple of days' time, people would have realized a big washer show of what is called, well, drugs. I don't know what's in there, cocaine, whatever it is. And people are asking, how did the boat get hit, the men get killed, and the drugs remain intact and stuff? And you hear all allegations, all kinds of allegations that this is a setup and so on, as though the Americans will just take almost $1 million worth of cocaine and throw it in the water that they go ashore, to cover up their doing. But there are simple videos that circulate, Mr. Pierre, which shows you that at some point in time, when these men in these small pirogues are so carrying this stuff, realize that they are under scrutiny or they are under the radar, what they do? They start throwing out the drugs. Yeah? So if the drugs is thrown out of the boat before it gets hit, obviously from a thinking point of view, the drugs would reach ashore intact. Am I right?
Definitely.
Right. So, as I said, so for just for knowledge purpose, some of our people, we are free to make criticism. We are free to say what we want. We are free to oppose any and everything we feel to. That's okay. That's the world we live in. But I think a lot of people need to look in depth at the situations. Look in depth, gather knowledge, get intelligence, get stuff, and to know what's happening. Then they would realize why it is how it is. Now, before I run off, as I say straight up, here I am. I don't have to hide. I don't have to put on a mask to be on anything. I tell someone in recent time, just in a brief conversation, within the entire tenure terms of NNP ruling Grenada, CARICOM, and PT Matnik being in governance, I have never, or can recall, hearing a supporter of the new National Party say they have ever regretted voting for any member of the new National Party, or on a whole, the new National Party. So here today, I'm hearing a different cry and a different story. I am hearing the voices of supporters of the National Democratic Congress saying, you hear me? They regret. So do the maths, think of it, and tell me, what do you say from what I just said? It only tells you if the present administration thinks the governing style is impacting their people and hoping it impact others, they are just a failure. They are just wasting time, because their own supporters across the board is now saying, most of them are saying it loud. They will tell you straight up, they're regretting that they have voted the National Democratic Congress into office. Just something for Grenadians to ponder on. Those of you who may be still undecided. Thank you very much, Pierre.
Yes, scholar. Well, that last point you make is important, because I don't think anybody in Grenada expected Deacon to tell so much lies. I don't think anybody in Grenada expected all these rumors and speculation of corruption to flow. I don't think anybody expected Deacon to accept expensive gift and refuse to retire to the Integrity Commission. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Yes, my brother.
Yes. Now, KJ is using a strategy similar to that of Joseph Goebbels, Hitler propaganda minister. And that strategy that he's using is to keep on telling the same lies over and over and over, with the hope that he gets at least one person to believe his lies each day. Now, KJ is saying that this prime minister is very intelligent and he got vision and all these things. So let us weigh the evidence. Let us look at the Molyneux project. Look what happened to it. Is it because he he have such good vision that until today that project can't even complete. Let us look at the statement he made during the election campaign that with the stroke of a pen, he will make all civil servants permanent. Again, vision. What about the highway from on the western side? This is a project, or this is something that shouldn't come from the mouth of any Grenadian. Because once you know Grenada, the topography of Grenada, how can you build a highway from Tongue to Sotes? I guess that Prime Minister have real vision. What about the fire in Lacrette for reporting killing that is taking place, wrongdoing? You know, let us look at this hospital project. Imagine that if every project, look at the Cliff project again, if every project this government touch, turn it into chaos, would they be able to do this hospital project? Mr. Pierre, as far as I see, is a election trickery. That project will never move from the ground. Millions of dollars will be looted out, and at the end of the day, we will be left to repay that money with no hospital. This government is treating the Grenadian people as toilet paper. You know, basically, you have one purpose for toilet paper. You wipe your butt and you flush it down the toilet. So they trick you, they laugh at you, you vote for them, and then they flush it down the toilet. Once they fill their pocket, that is all they're interested in. So I cannot see what vision, and I want KJ to let us know what vision that this Prime Minister have for Grenada. Thank you, sir.
Yes, scholar. Well, we normally ask what he's not saying. He generally makes general statement, but he don't zero in on any pointer. And caller, you're correct. Somebody who voted for Deacon may well be very disappointed now. Yes, Colin, welcome.
Mr. Pierre,
Yes, my brother.
we're speaking about vision. Take a man with vision to try to build a new hospital in this country. A man without vision, he will take the hospital and build it in the sea, where every every month, you have to buy new equipment. A man without vision will do that. And that's what the man without vision do. You take a hospital and build it in the sea. Mr. Pierre, a man with vision, he will see that everything he do will be benefiting the Ghanaian people. For instance, the people who are going to college, they don't have to pay the fees, some fees, because it's benefiting the people. I have two cousins who are benefiting from that. You don't have to pay your school fees. I have a friend who going to New York. You don't have to pay school fees, and thousands of Canadians benefit from it. Pierre. A man with vision will put tablet for every from one or from two children. So when they grow up, they will have the knowledge. That is a man with vision. A man with vision will never do this kind of stupid thing. Taking $50 million and spend on a chicken farm. That is no vision, my brother. A man with vision, he will never squander $17 million for the agriculture farm in the marketing board. That is people without vision. That is corruption. When Pierre and Peter David, they run the marketing board to the ground. $17 million on a concrete farm. Taxpayers are pay back the money. What they do with the money? They change the power. I count on a man with vision to try and fix that. You is the greatest and you will always remain the greatest. Prime Minister in Grenada. Are you talking about Kibuja win for she comes at 15 and he ain't do nothing the last 10 years. What he do? Nothing. The only thing he do, he build the road from Monkuma. That's all he do. He had all the pipeline. a man with vision, he would have bring them out and put them on show. But no, you have them in the pipeline. A man with vision will take them out of the pipeline and build them. The man about the island in the pipeline, you know. Look, a man with vision will take them out. That is a man with vision.
Thank you, my brother. You're better than KJ, you know. You always try to make some points, you know, because the end is you have a call on the line. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Yes, my brother.
Your caller who tries best to
You're always better than KJ, just try.
who tries best to debunk the nonsense that the guy called KJ has been putting forward. He's absolutely right. The serious problem relative to that is that KJ has no kind of skills in his presentation. Repeating the same thing over and over and never able to back it up. When you challenge him to give examples or samples, he never could present one. And you look at all the failures of projects that have been initiated by the previous administration, give him the chance to execute them. And some of them has been way advanced already. And they become a boss of a fool. I mean, and in the case of this guy or trying to put a guy in the category with Gomez, the only category you could put in is the evil aspect of it. But Gomez were a genius at deceiving people. And like I call a point out, those strategies, if you repeat a lie as much as possible, it becomes like a truth after that time to people. That's what they got away with, Hitler and so on. But they were very effective in their propaganda. The nonsense that KJ is trying to do it doesn't matter. But Mr. Pierre, I heard an excerpt from Mr. President of the United States, because he addressed the nation to Congress last night or yesterday evening. Are you there?
Donald Trump.
Yeah, Donald Trump. And in his speech, there was Donald Trump gloating over the fact that fishermen are afraid to go out at the sea, at sea in the Caribbean Sea. You know? When I heard that man bring that up that way, if you listen to the speech and or if you heard any bit of it, the BBC brought back that part of it. The man is gloating over the fact that fishermen are afraid to go out at sea in the Caribbean area. And, you know, what are the Caribbean governments doing when we lose our citizens in that most obnoxious way? No trial, summary execution. And yet they want to sit down and have discussion in an amicable way with the foreign minister of the United States. He's not usually called foreign minister like in the British territories and so on. He's called Secretary of State, but it's the same position. And I'm yet to understand, at the same time too, how Kamala Harris could go in the CARICOM heads of meeting and boasting that she don't regret it and she'll do it again if she have to.
So you don't believe Kamala Harris is seeking the interests of Trinidad and Tobago?
I don't think so.
Well,
At the same time, but here comes the thing, Mr. Pierre. Even if she's seeking the interests of Trinidad and Tobago, she's disheveling the interests of all the other Caribbean.
Some of the Caribbean islands wasn't tactful in the criticism of her. They was very untactful. So she have a right to fire back.
So at the same time, what would elicit the untact?
You remember Ralph Gonzalez? Whereas he was embracing any decision Grenada make, you were attacking Kamala? That was untactful.
Even if they are not tactful, what elicits such a behavior? Because of her obnoxious attitude too?
No. Trinidad is correct. I support Trinidad action. And the Caribbeans cannot be beating the chest to America. They refuse to negotiate.
America is so emboldened to do what they do in the Caribbean Sea now.
Well, any
Remember,
Caribbean is emboldened and a bit in the chest.
Mr. Pierre, the admiral that was responsible for fleet that parasitic the Caribbean area, the South American area. He was embarrassed by the whole thing to the extent that he sent in his resignation.
Well, it doesn't, you see, it's not a question of right or wrong. It's a question of your economic realities. And CARICOM leaders refused to negotiate. Some of them didn't even attend the meeting in the Bahamas, including Grenada. Very early, they had to engage the president and negotiate with him. This is not about right and wrong. This is about...
Mr. Pierre, you know who you're talking about? You're talking about the President of the United States right now?
Yeah, of course.
With who?
You have to negotiate with him.
Look at what happened. Mr. Pierre, look at what happened. Look at what happened with Canada. Look at what the man is doing to Mexico.
Well, Donald Trump writing a lot of sense. Canada had a number tariff on America. Donald Trump might have been untactful, but the policy of renegotiating with Europe is a protectorate. Europe have 500 million people, and they're depending on the United States, 350 million people, to protect them against 140 million. Well, that could be right.
What caused that in the process?
Because Europe refused to spend money on defense. And while they put in tariff on American goods. So America right.
American right.
The Caribbean beating the chest give America while they forget the economic realities. Look at Grenada. Grenada economy is in the American front door. But we have those extremists in Grenada beating the chest give America. The Americans are only human, you know. They have a right to retaliate.
But Mr. Pierre, there are other governments in America having to deal with the same set of people that we have around.
Well, some of them treat them. Obama, look at immigration. Obama expelled more people from America than Donald Trump, you know. But Obama was perhaps more tactful. But he expelled more. Obama didn't treat the Caribbean good, you know.
I'm not saying that Obama.
But the Caribbean people like Obama. And they're cussing Donald Trump. Obama was one of the worst presidents he had for the Caribbean.
Mr. Pierre, that argument could go on for a long time.
I agree.
There's no way.
We got to talk about it again.
The kind of activities and attitude that he have towards our people.
Remember the discussion tomorrow is on Cuba. I would like to hear your contribution on it.
Yeah,
Cuba and America.
It's a very serious issue. We need to discuss that issue. Take care, sir.
All right, my brother. Thank you. Yes, the number to call is 442-0175, and you could call and make your contribution, not necessarily on the topic we're speaking about, but any other issue in the country. I am disappointed in the foreign ministers in Grenada and the Caribbean. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, sir.
I am totally in support of the States and the foreign policy. This region have to be a peaceful region. And it is because of the United States, we in Grenada today enjoying that freedom that we have. And I want to see the Cuban people, the Venezuelan people, enjoying the same freedom, and every human being in this region, in fact, through the whole length and breadth of the world. Simply because the God that created man never give man dominion over man. And there are some leaders who think that they are better and superior than others. So they want to treat the rest of the citizens of the country the way they want, as though the citizens are the floor cloth and they are the top. And if it wasn't for Donald Trump policy, this region would have been in a real shitty situation right now. Look at what's happening in Mexico. Right? Imagine They kill one drug lord. And look at the amount of violence. This thing have to stop. And democracy shall prevail. Have a good day, sir.
Yes, I think CARICOM leaders have to stop lying to the people. If you want your people to follow the changes, be honest with your people. Let them know what is your foreign policy. You cannot say you believe in a free press. You believe in democracy. But for 60-something years, you supporting Cuba to jail the people without charge, without trial, and without an opportunity to defend themselves. So I'm calling on CARICOM leaders. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, Doc.
Yes, my brother.
How are you? How are you?
Great, man.
You're in full flow today.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something. Technically, I agree with you. But I'll tell you something. We are feeling the result of what we incubate. Leadership, roles and responsibility, accountable to what? The citizens. I am not blaming the President of the United States totally. We failed to do our homework. Where were our leaders when things was better? The economy was better. Over the last 20 years, 25, 30 years, the economy was much better. Cost was lower. And things was cheaper. What were they doing? Money was passing, you know. There was no void of money, but what they did with the money, they did not contemplate and growing and building, expanding the economy to create more commerce where revenue could flow. They continue to depend on the IMF and the World Bank to beg. So you want to do 1 mile of road, you go to the World Bank. You want to do 1 mile of road, you go to the Caribbean Development Bank. What you are doing with your monies? So now the backlash is here. You're scrambling. The economy is weak. Commerce is on its back foot. The revenue is not flowing. Unemployment is high. So yes, you may have to go down to your knees. Go down to the gutter. Stick. Accept what you should not accept just to survive. And if you don't do that, what happens? Cuba is in a state of paralysis. CARICOM can't help Cuba. The third world can't help Cuba. We mean the United States. You had the resources. You had the manpower. You had the leadership. But you wasn't seeing that far. Concept, imagination, planning, and execution. That was not in your mind. So now we all feeling the pressure. I am tired. That's why you see I'm hardly coming to the radio these days because I said it all and nobody was listening. You see? So here we are now. We don't know where to turn. I wouldn't sit down with the foreign minister of America to discuss anything at this point in time. I wouldn't do it. Yeah? Because I don't like this begging. Our economy have the potential to bring us millionaire and billionaire just with what we have and the citizenry. But we don't recognize that. We don't use it. That's why we are where we are. No blame Kamala. Trinidad and Tobago wasted monies, including the very Kamala. She wasted money too. And it is a matter of survival for her, for them. That's the reason why you see they have a bank here. They're using the Caribbean banks. They're using their bank in the Caribbean as the piggy bank because our currency is much stronger. I recognize that and I spoke about it a long time ago because I saw that. They position themselves through the region to survive because they know the oil was coming to an end. What were we doing?
Power job.
We were just quarreling.
Whining and dance.
Yes, with one another. The colors, the structure of the parties, party identity, numbers before an election. That is what we are contemplating on. Trying to bribe for votes. And after the votes, you doesn't have an economy to do anything, take you anywhere. We have to feel the pressure. Sad is the young people that are going to feel the pressure and have the problem going forward, because those and those who were there, they're well off. So they go step aside and spend their money dollar by dollar, but the young people can't get a dollar to spend forward. Have a good day, Mr.
Yes, scholar, and on that point I have to agree with you. We are very lackadaisical and incompetent about economic development, management, and investment. Emphasis must be placed on economic development, management, and investment. And our leaders have been very lackadaisical. Every now and then you see some attempt has been made, and then we erode it. Yes, scholar, welcome.
Hi, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, scholar.
I'm just calling to ask if any body wants math something that I have. So
Maths.
yeah.
All right.
So I wanted to talk about it.
How big are the maths?
Yeah, for 50, 25, 40, and 110.
That maths for table?
Table, and you could put it on floor, and you put it on the chair.
All right.
And in the living room.
I'm going to buy one for you for me floor.
All right.
It's a small floor, so I have to buy a small one.
All right.
So I'm going to buy one for you for that.
Okay.
You was passing paradise by where you used to go and sing karaoke?
Yeah, well, Sunday coming is my birthday, you know, so they buy Miss Rose, by Mommy Rose.
All right then. Okay. When I see you, I'll go buy one for them.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. So this sister have maths, she is visually impaired, and she make maths, so she's selling. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, how you doing, sir?
Great man.
You know, you spoke about the teaching hospital, and I don't think people understand what is really building on here. You know, a teaching hospital is not like a regular hospital. You know? I don't think our population understand that. You know, we be borrowing money to build a hospital that we may not be able to go in it. You know, I hope people go and do a research on what's a teaching hospital and see how it runs. And if we can maintain our simple hospital here, I don't think we can maintain that. Have a nice day, sir.
Yes, and they spend a lot of money on research. You know. When you have a research hospital, yes, caller, welcome. Yes, oh, we lost that caller. Yes, Grenada have to look at the healthcare system. And I think Grenadians have been deceived. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, good afternoon, sir.
Yes, my brother.
I'm a first-time caller to your program.
Thank you very much.
Just want to express some feelings of mine and what I am getting on the ground and disappointed people around Grenada, CARICOM, and Petit Martinique. You know, this bunch of people we have in office today is the worst. And I am saying this, I'm a young person, and in 2022, you know, they came around and they campaign, you know, they will make things happen, they will transform Grenada, CARICOM, and Petit Martinique. And a lot of us fall for those victories. You know, a lot of people supported them because of the lies and everything that they put out there. We fall for that, you know. And today, they are coming back again and saying things are happening, things are going on. I wondering which part in this country things are happening, because when you look at it out there, it is hard, it is grimy. The business people cannot get sales for the products. You look at the roads, bus drivers are complaining, the small businesses, and everybody on the whole is complaining. So I am wondering, as a young person, which part of Grenada, CARICOM, and PT Martinique things are happening, and I am looking back in the previous NDC's government, as a young person growing up in this country. You look at the 2008 era to 2013, and it was bad. You look at 1990 to 1995, the era of the NDC back then, and you compare these three NDC's governments. This one is even the worst compared to 2008 and the year 1990 to 1995, And there are some people who will sit and say they are satisfied with where things are going, how things have been going in this country, because they are getting something. You look at people on the Facebook and other social media who is singing for their cup of tea. We out here feel the pain. And I can see how we as people could say that the government is performing. And I would love to give Jack his jacket. At the current rate of things, the government, they fail. They fail us, the young people. They fail us on a national level. They fail us everywhere you turn. And I don't know how we could sit and say, yes, I am happy and I am impressed with how things are going. I am upset. Honestly speaking, I am upset. And you're voting for somebody because you like the person. Oh, the prime minister, oh, bro. Can we go to the grocery and say the prime minister dressed nice? We can get food with that. Can we go? Come on. Can that put milk and sugar on the table? And every time you hear people speak, some people speak, it's like, oh, the man could speak, but what, from 2022 to now, point out one project that the government would have undergo, and it is this project. Point me out one. There is none. The projects you are seeing that they're completing is project that was there before. This government hasn't started anything as yet. They're talking about Polaris. Well, I don't know. Polaris, next 15, next 10 years, I don't know how long do we have to wait on healthcare to come here and for we to say we're enjoying such things. But I am urging other young persons, as me, open up your eyes. Don't fall for the old talk. Don't fall for the tomfoolery. These guys that are in office, it's themselves. It's about themselves and no one else. They don't care about people. They don't love people. The elections might be soon. We don't know. And you see them out there pretending now that they care about people. They love people. They don't. They will do things to see if they can get back in power. And when they get back there, it's the same thing. The same thing that's going to happen. So I don't know where things are happening in this country. I am looking back and see things are happening. I don't know what is happening.
Now what is happening?
Their pockets getting fatter. They're getting fat. And we the people out here are suffering. But things are happening. But I am out there and I am looking on. And as I said, people like me who is really upset with how things are going going in this country.
Yes,
I
caller.
don't care.
We have to look on and continue to ask questions. We will take a last caller. We're taking the last caller. And caller, you have to punch. You are the last caller, whoever you are.
Yes, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, go right ahead, brother.
You have a president of a country, the most powerful country in the world, referring to so-called third world countries with the most derogatory language, shithole countries, looking down upon them in the most derogatory way, arrogant way. You have a country called China. You have another one called North Korea, where people have little or no freedom. He's sitting down and negotiate with them. You have a blockade on Cuba for over 50 years. What is the negotiation that takes place along with Cuba and things? Mr. Pierre, this thing is, watch me, like animal farm mentality. Some are more equal than others. Simple. A punch. Tomorrow we'll talk more.
Yes, caller. As we come to the end of the program today, I believe we have a responsibility to ask a lot of questions. The government have a policy of information based upon need to know. I take the strongest objection to that policy. That policy is an insult. We have accused the Prime Minister for being a compulsive liar. We accuse him of taking bribe. When the Prime Minister accepts expensive gifts and he did not retire same to the Integrity Commission, we consider it as an act of bribery. We took objection to the Prime Minister flaunting the law in the Grenada Development Bank and raiding the bank. We object to the Prime Minister corrupt in the national lottery, gravel and concrete. We take objection to the Prime Minister and some of his top echelons selling passport. We ask, if they are selling passport, who is going to guard the guards? Who is the final arbiter? They have to sign off on things and verify what they are selling. We take objection to Peter David, a member of parliament, leader of a political party, join in the melee and the cesspool of corruption, selling passport. We ask the question, what deal you made with Deacon? Or who authorized Deacon to make your agent to sell passport? We listen to the language emanated from the Prime Minister. We consider it as divisive. The only reason they get in help because they don't show who the real NDC is. We see how the government have been surgically firing people who they perceived to be NNP supporters. We see the manner in which Deacon corrupt the Public Service Commission. And it appears to us that the government is dismantling the Public Service Commission. The people they claim that they're making permanent are not under the Public Service Commission. And the unions sit down there like jab, bawling ha ha. How could the unions sit down and watch the systematic dismantling of the Public Service Commission and workers in the established staff? In the future, over tomorrow, the unions themselves will be marginalized. The only source of income is from the membership. So as you lose your membership, you too would be seriously marginalized. We watch the government in the foreign policy refuse to attend meeting with senior people of the United States of America. We watch them beat their chest for Uncle Sam as if they don't know that you could parade your ideology, but you must be cognizant of your economic realities. My brothers and sisters, go and look at the countries in Africa. Almost all the African countries are going backward. Almost all. They're making big speeches, but look at the economy. They're going backward. And the Caribbean countries are not facing the economic realities. Our leaders seems to be very lackadaisical and incompetent about economic management, investment, and development. And they're running behind failed ideology. Ideologies that lock up people, jail people, murder people, and close down the press. I have always said, we dissolve the government we have. I don't support reparation because the black man sold his children in slavery. And today in our country, the government is destroying the economy. I want to also encourage men to attend the Men's League in Grenville retreat. That retreat will take place in Mount St. Evans on the Saturday the 28th. Once you're 14 years and over. If you're 14 years and over and you're broke and you don't have money and you want to attend the retreat, communicate with the members of the Men's League and you may get a sponsor to attend. Our men are getting left. When you go to the mental institute, when you go to the madhouse, when you go in the prison and ask the police, our men are dropping out from schools. They're behaving badly. A lot of them are turning vagrants and addicts. And I want to encourage our women, ban your belly and help some of them boys, because some of them will kill you. There is a crime of rage and passion. And when that happens, most times women are dead. So ban your belly and help your children. One of the ways you could is to get your young men more active in the church and in the Men's League. I'm not saying that's going to solve the problem, but it might better help them to deal with the problem. Because remember, you that go bald, 2 women life got smothered and everybody jumping up and asking for draconian law. More women are going to die from violence. As we end the program today, remember tomorrow, we're going to put some emphasis on Cuba. We have a number of Grenadians studying in Cuba. We have Grenadians who have studied in Cuba. All of them want to go in America. They shut them out. Tomorrow we're talking about Cuba. No holds barred. Thank you very much.
When the clock hits 12, you know where to be. Turn it up, Real FM, ride the frequency. Talking truth, talking change, talking all that's real. With Francis